प्ययन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक् प्राणश्चक्षु श्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मने निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Om. May all my limbs attain strength. May the body, the mind, the sensory and motor organs, and the life force all become powerful and efficient. All is verily the one without second, ever blissful existence itself, spoken of by the Upanishads. May I never deny this truth of oneness of existence. May this truth never reject me, considering myself as unqualified. May all the virtues needed to experience this truth and are spoken of by the Upanishads be always with me. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Let us meditate on this Brahman, the one without second, all-pervading, ever blissful existence itself. By considering each one of us and everything that we experience as infinitely many ice cubes kept in warm weather. I think I experience that I am this particular shape. This is my weight This is my height. These are my angularities. I am different from all other ice cubes. They have their personalities, their shapes, their angularities. I am feeling convinced of this distinction. But I see my shape and all other shapes are changing. I am melting. The distinctions between us are getting lost. Soon I see I am dissolved. All other ice cubes are dissolved. Everything is seen as the one without second, existence itself, beyond time, beyond space. It actually was always like that in truth, because of identification with a form which is shifting and changing. One gets deluded of this and thinks that this multiplicity is real. Om, peace, peace, peace. Hmm? So let us begin our discussion today with the usual opening chant. Janmadyasya yatonvayaditaratashcha चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत् सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि. That from whom creation, sustenance and dissolution of the universe take place, who is both the instrumental and material cause of it, who is omniscient, is the only one having self-mastery, being the one independent entity, who illumined the mind of Brahma with the Vedic revelation, whose wisdom is the wonder of even the greatest sages, in whom the world of the three gunas subsists, just as the combination of materials like fire, water, and earth subsist in their causes without changing their elemental nature, in whose consciousness there is nothing false. On that truth supreme we meditate. As we have been seeing this scripture or this class of scripture called Puranas, it is not exactly what is called or sometimes translated in English as mythologies. Not mythologies. The word that we use for these is Purana or sometimes Itihasa, that this is how it happened, because the ancient Indian mind has a different understanding of reality, not just the reality that is perceived at the gross level, and it varies again from individual to individual. It is not that the same thing is perceived by all, even in the external world. There is some similarity, but each has its own instrument of perception, its way of looking at things, and also the what one chooses to see, the responses generated in the mind of each one, they are different. Moreover, when the mind goes to different levels, you see the things that earlier or at other level were not seen. So therefore, what is reality in a very gross conception is not accepted by Vedanta or these Vedantic texts, Puranas. So these Puranas have depicted many of these stories to illustrate the truths, and while they may not be real in the gross world, there is no reason therefore to assume that they are unreal. We always take the example of dream here, that certain things are real in dream, and while they are real in dream, the things of this world, they are not real in that state. And what we see now in the waking state, it is not real there in the dream state, and the dream state things are not real in the waking state. And so there are different levels at which the one reality appears. So the time scales differ a lot. So these stories are not exactly unreal or just cock and bull stories. They are illustrative of certain truths and may not exactly real in the gross world as we see, but that is not to say or suggest that they are unreal. So we have been seeing how this truth is depicted in them, and the highest truth that we all need to experience for realizing the truth absolute, for realizing the ultimate goal of life, that is bliss and knowledge. We uh, need to follow this idea and meditate on it. That is the truth supreme that we meditate upon. And these truths, these stories are a depiction of these truths in a way that it will help us to experience those. One very important idea that Vedanta tells, that Atman or God, whatever you may call, alone is. And in all what is called creation, and that God, without any actual modification or change, uh, pervades, that alone manifests as these infinitely many things, and they keep on shifting and changing. That creates the sense of time. The change is the way that the time is perceived by us. No change, no time. And no multiplicity, no space. One has to deeply meditate on this and thus see the nature of time and space. So they are just the uh, expressions of this perception of multiplicity, and all that is pervaded by the one divine being everywhere. So, this truth is now being shown. The Daksha, he is a Prajapati, means is to uh, Praja is progeny. That is how the word progeny also comes from this Sanskrit word praja, that it is. Ja means to give birth, and that which is pra means it is a prefix that denotes the intensity. So, intensely the creation or the progeny is spreading. That is called Praja, and Prajapati means the one who is at the head of this process of progeny. So Daksha is one of those Prajapatis, the son of that Prachetas. So these Prachetas, they beget this and then told Daksha that now you have to carry on this work of expanding the population. And Daksha therefore decided to invoke the divine and get guidance from that divine. And he prayed uh, and recited a hymn as at the uh, end of his performance of austerities, and in that he uh, called the God as the Hansa, means the Atman who resides in everyone. And God is our true self. God is our reality. And you can never escape God, just as, say, uh, a glass. You see so many glass flower vases here. Now those flower vases, one of them if says, I don't want glass, I will run away from glass. It cannot, because it is just glass given the shape. So each of us is actually divine, and from that we can never run away. So, thus we can see this, that God is our very self, is within us. So, let us hold on to this assertion. And this is a tremendous assertion and very important for us to realize the truth. Because as human beings, we feel at times that no, God realization is difficult for me. I will never be able to realize God in this life. We forget that God is our reality. We can never escape that. So never harbor this kind of erroneous idea that I will not be able to realize God. God is our very reality. So this is this Hansa, the swan, our true self. So, and this, while we were studying this beautiful hymn, and we concluded last class by discussion on these two paths, Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Yoga means the technique by which one realizes the goal. That is the meaning of this word yoga. So, yoga is that by which what we understood intellectually comes to our practical experience. So, there are two types in this, and then further ramifications, further divisions in this. One is Jnana Yoga, where the function of intellect comes prominently into picture, and that is to discern what is permanent and what is impermanent. That which is impermanent, it is not the truth. So discard the impermanence, and then not this, not this. This is impermanent, therefore not this. So discard all that, and what remains is the permanent. That is one path. And there is Bhakti Yoga, to love the God who is in everyone. So, in various ways one can love this God. There are again techniques of loving God, like think of God, chant the name of God, and so forth. Thus, what happens, as it is said, that today's imagination, tomorrow's reality. So, you start that, well, God may be like this, and so picture the God before you, think of a divine life, and the name, and then keep on repeating the name, the mantra. Gradually that becomes real for you. So that is the way called Bhakti Yoga. So both of these are very good, but constitutionally, for most of us, Jnana Yoga in itself means only Jnana Yoga is not going to be of much use, because we are not able to use that instrument of intellect uh, with that decisive effect. It is not powerful enough for most of us. I had mentioned that many times that we have sharp intellect. There is no lack of sharp intellectuals, but that intellect is not powerful enough to overturn the onslaught of our emotions and sensual attractions and all that. So, our intellectual understanding immediately gives way to those onslaughts, and thus what we think is one thing and what we act is another thing. So, therefore, the life kind of becomes a life of a hypocrite. The mere intellectuals like that, they become hypocrites. That they lead a different life. They make divisions. Hypocrite means they show and say one thing, but their life does not correspond at all to that. And so, there is, of course, another danger in bhakti yoga, that one can become fanatic. Bhakti yoga is the path for most of us, but that path is not really divorced from Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is a very important part of this practicing bhakti. Bhakti also requires practicing this discernment as to what is right and what is not right, what is real and what is not real, and so forth. When we do that, then our devotion practice becomes not the, not dangerous for us. Otherwise, it may just develop into emotional effervescence, not getting just emotionalism becomes then gets called bhakti yoga, which is not what is meant by uh, this statement. So, after describing these two paths, now he says to God, prays to God, that it's a long prayer. I am skipping some parts and paraphrasing some others. That may that infinite being, the worshipful Lord, who transcends name and form, but manifests himself under many forms uh, and under countless names as deities and incarnations, and perform various sportive actions for the blessing of the devotees. May he be propitious unto me. That is, that infinite being. Let that infinite being be propitious unto me. The grace is prayed for. Now, as you can see, the grace and the prayers can be offered to what is called the personal God, not the impersonal God, the God with whom I have a connection. And that because I am perceiving that, I am thinking of that, that all pervading impersonal becomes personal because the way I am seeing it. So this is how these are not two different things. Personal is an expression of impersonal, and the impersonal, when one thinks of, becomes personal. So this prayer is for that. But yet, while praying, the true transcendent and transcendentally immanent nature of God is not overlooked. So he says that, and then even he says there are so many ways to worship you, O Lord. You support all of them. All of them are your expressions, because through that you people come to you. Uh, as that Shiv Mahimna Stotra says, and which was quoted by Swami Vivekananda at the first lecture of the Parliament of Religions, that Ruchinam Vaichitriad Rijukutila Nana Pathajusham Nrinam Eko Gamya Tomasi Payasam Arnavaiva, that depending on the various innate tendencies, a person follows the constitutionally suitable path to reach you, just as the different water courses, they flow in their characteristic manner depending on the territory that they are on, and ultimately they merge into the same one ocean. So all these paths also, they have come from God, and therefore they can lead to God. Mm. It is each of these paths is a way to how God expressed himself, and therefore obviously becomes a path by which we can reach God. So like the rays of the sun, they proceed from the sun, and thus we see a ray and that connects me and the sun. So each path, there are infinitely many rays, infinitely many paths by which one can reach the divine, and some of them could be in appearance very crude, that it is the deities which are followed by even the crude cults according to the tendencies of the votaries. May that God from whom it all follows, may that God be propitious to us. And then the description here, this says Shuka, who is narrating this, says, hymned in this way at the holy lake of Aghamarshana, the worshipful Lord. We had seen Aghamarshana was the lake. The meaning, the etymology of the word Aghamarshana is the one that cleanses the sins. So all the wrongdoings are cleansed by the waters of this lake, Aghamarshana, and the worshipful Lord who loves his devotees appeared before Daksha, who extolled him with deep faith and fervor. He appeared seated on the shoulders of Garuda, and as you see in this picture, he had 8 powerful arms, sporting his discus, conch, sword, shield, arrow, bow, cord, and mace. Blue like a rain cloud, clad in yellow cloth, serene in expression, and luminous with Srivatsa mark and the Kaustubha jewel, he appeared framed in a wreath of wild flowers and leaves. So, Lord appeared in this form. Why in this form? Because God appears in that particular form in which he is being prayed for or worshipped. Daksha was worshipping or thinking of God in this form, and so God appeared in this form. There are many such stories, anecdotes, that when uh, Hanuman was visiting Vrindavan, then it is a story that is told about uh, Ramdas Swami also. Uh, when Ramdas Swami visited Vrindavan, now he is the worshipper of Rama and Sita. Ah, and then he is seeing something here, Ramdas Swami, sorry, not exactly Vrindavan, but Pandharpur. So there it is, the uh, same Rama, Sita are in the form of Vitthal and Rukmini. So, and he says, what are you doing here like this? What did you do to Sita? And why are you standing like this? Where are your bow and arrows? And your both hands are on your vest. And so, I don't like this form. And so it says that it changed. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, it is similar story of Hanuman visiting Vrindavan, and then there is the Radha Krishna. Krishna tells Radha, "Hey, Hanuman is coming. This form is not liked by Hanumana. Let us change quickly before he approaches." So, therefore, there Krishna changes into Rama, and then Radha changes into Sita. So, God gives the vision to a devotee according to the way the devotee is being is propitiating that God. So that is how it appeared before him like this. So that description goes on for some time, for a few verses, and at the sight of this rare and wonderful form, followed by the hymning choir of the Siddhas, Charanas, and Gandharvas. These are all the musical retinue that follows God. Uh, the Prajapati Daksha was awestruck. It happens when there are so many thoughts are there. I will tell this to Lord. I will ask this of Lord. But when the actual moment comes, you get so emotionally uh, mm, full, and so everything gets bottlenecked, and you do not know how to express yourself. So Daksha just was so much overwhelmed by all these emotions. What to say to God? I forgot all. One behaves in a very funny way. There is a story that when Krishna came to Hastinapur to have a discussion uh, for avoiding the war, that let us some diplomatic efforts. He said, let me try for the last time so that the war can be averted. And then, as he was in the court, Duryodhana tried to arrest him. forgetting who is he, could not arrest. And then Krishna warned that, well, you have seen the how this effect of this arrogance could be. So I came for having a kind of, say, uh, mm, close discussions where we can work out some compromises to avoid the war, but you don't seem to be too inclined. So he left the place, and although there were very nice arrangements for staying of Krishna, he went straight to a small hutmate of Vidura. He was, although from that same royal clan, uh, he lived like a very, a person of very few means in a small hut. He and his very pious wife, he was devoted to Krishna. And then unexpectedly seeing Krishna coming to their home, Vidura's wife got so overwhelmed with devotion, and then decided what was there to feed Krishna. There were a few bananas, so she brought those bananas, and then a plate was kept in front of Krishna, and then she started peeling the bananas, but was so overwhelmed, so awestruck, didn't really know what to do. And so instead of putting the banana pulp in the plate, she put the skin in the plate and threw away the pulp because she was overwhelmed. And the Lord, he ate those peels. He ate those peels because they were full of devotion. What else Lord takes from us? We can offer all wonderful sweets and all different nice preparations. What Lord takes is only the devotion. So, and therefore, he took those peels and ate them because that is what they were filled with devotion. So the point that it is here is that Lord knows what is in our mind, and you try to tell, but you cannot really express yourself fully. It has happened so many times when I decide I will go and tell all these things to this person and that person, when the person is of such a big stature that I get dumbfounded there, can't say anything. So, uh, but Lord Himself started speaking. So, the worshipful Lord said, O son of Prachetas, O noble one, you have become perfect by your austerity. It is, you have become perfect by your austerity. I am much pleased with you. Austerity is performed to remove the uh, uncleanliness of our mind. It is cleaning. Just as if there is dirt and stains on a pot, then you have to remove it. If the coating of the dirt or dust or other things is too hard, then you have to really scrub hard. And we had still have that a frying pan, and then it was all black inside and outside, and I thought that is its natural color. And our Abhijit said, no, no. Is it so? No, it can be cleaned. Oh, can it be? What do you mean? I was incredulous. But then he started rubbing and then taking some sharp things, started breaking the outer this thing, that coat of carbon. It was so become so united with the pot that it looked like part of pot. But by this process, mm, patiently, it requires patience, and hard work, patience and hard work. He gradually got rid of that, and it looked so shining. I couldn't recognize that it is the same pot. So what I mean is our mind is also to be cleaned, scrubbed. Sometimes you need to use chisel and hammer to take out, and so it is a bit painful. So that kind of cleansing, what does it do is to bring out the inner luster. That is the meaning of austerity or tapas. Tapas is thus a very important idea in the whole Vedanta practice. Tapasa Brahma Vijijnasasva, a great statement. Tapo Brahmeti. This young man asked the father, "Oh, please, I want to know Brahman. Can you tell me how to do that?" And then the father, the name of the father was Varuna, and the name of the son was Bhrigu. So Bhrigurvai Varuni Varunam Pitaram Upasasara. He went to the father Varuna and said, Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. Please teach me about Brahman. And then this Varuna, he said that whatever you see, look at where from it comes, where it stays, and where it merges. That is Brahman. A great way of teaching that the sages and scriptures use. Whatever we know, from there we are compassionately guided to that where we want to go, what we don't know, from what we know to what we don't know. So he gives this hint. You see these names and forms, this universe? Yes. Now, see where from they all emanate, where they are existing, and where they merge back. Tad Brahma, Tad Vijijnasasva. That is Brahman. That is to be experienced. And then tells him how to do it now. Well, cleanse yourself and you will see it like the metal. It is lustrous, but with all those dirty coats accumulated, that luster is not visible. Now start rubbing. So cleanse it. That is tapas. Tapasa Brahma Vijijnasasva Tapo Brahmeti. So for now, therefore, know that this tapas itself is Brahman, austerity itself is Brahman. That is what you have to do. Swami Vivekananda says in his very beautiful lecture, it is very useful for all spiritual aspirants, work and its secret. A few lines of that say that, well, one has to pay equal attention to the means as to the end. And he says once you understand the goal and understand the means. You can almost let the goal go away from your mental horizon, hold on to the means. They will lead you to the goal automatically. So, therefore, tapo brahmeti, that tapas is Brahman. And then this student, he followed that, satapas taptva, he followed that, and then one layer was removed, one layer of ignorance was removed. Secondly, I don't, that itself would become a nice different topic to discuss. But this purification happened like that, and so therefore God here says that know that, uh, O learned one, my heart is tapas, austerity. So follow I, and then says that all other is just a dross. I alone am the reality. I alone was pure consciousness, beyond relations, devoid of within and without. All those things. Uh, it is an expression from the great Rigveda hymn called Nasadiya Suktam, that it is sometimes therefore called hymn of creation. Uh, it can be called more appropriately as the hymn of Samadhi, that there was nothing. And in the state of that absolute realization, nothing is, only that God is. Ah, that alone is. So I alone was pure consciousness. Now this is problem with language. That therefore I have put the word was in italics. That the was, does it mean so now it is different? No, now also it is same. It is pure consciousness. Even now nothing has changed. There is no change in God. So it is only you are not seeing it now, that's all. That it is pure consciousness, beyond relations, beyond relatives, devoid of within and without, all kinds of distinctions that we base our life on, in and out, mine and yours. It is, all these are imaginary distinctions that we take for real and thus suffer. So he says here, Lord tells him, and they at first I alone was pure consciousness and transcending relations, devoid of within and without, and unmanifested. Nothing else there was. Nanyat kinchana mishata. That is the language of Nasadiya Suktam. Very powerful hymn that is, when one meditates on that great hymn, Nasadiya Sukta, it is, the words are very penetrative and powerful, that there nothing was there. That alone was alive. That anidavatam swadhaya tadekam. That there was the life there. There was breathing. That is the meaning, that life was there. Breathing, but without air. Avatam. Because that alone is, there is no air. And yet to show that it has life, it is breathing. So that alone is there. The so-called creation manifested there. So, and that is described that my power, Maya, brought out my cosmic body, and simultaneously Brahma, the creator, came out. Now these things, they are simultaneous. If you see creation, automatically there is the creator. Who created? It is a very obvious question. You have to have a creator if there is creation. Otherwise, no creation. The very word creation means there is creator. So to think that there is creation but no creator is really absurd. So it is the Brahma, the creator and the creation. They are, these words, they go together. I am a student means what? There is somebody teacher of whom I am student. If I am teacher means I am teaching somebody, so there is the student. I am a singer. If somebody says, well, I am singer, I never sing, then what is the meaning of saying that I am singer? So if I am singer means I must sing. So these are the words, they are conjoined words. They go together, they stand or fall together. So then this Brahma came up, but very poetically expressed here. But initially he was too weak to create. There is this creator without all the power available, like a young little child has a lot of desires. The child sees the grown-ups do this and do that and wants to emulate them, but the body is too weak. So this Brahma also was too weak. And then through austerity he attained strength. Ah, then came out 9 Prajapatis and you. So all this Daksha is one of the Prajapatis. So all of them, they came out with the tapas, austerities of Brahma. We have seen that previously in some previous volumes of this very book, that how the Brahma prayed to Lord, I cannot do anything without you. You have to infuse me with all that knowledge and the strength, and then under your complete total guidance and directions, then I will do whatever you wish. So that is how Brahma now becomes strong with the strength of God. So now that creation takes place, it is told that I know you are anxious to have progeny. Marry this girl, Ashikni. You will bring out numerous progeny and they will continue uh, through my power, Maya. They will also keep on propagating. So this Daksha therefore had how many? 10,000 sons. And then what happens with them? Narada meets them. So what happens we shall see in our next Friday's class. So, that is, the idea is this, that it happens only in Maya, means only in appearance. There is no reality to it, like the magicians. The Sri Ramakrishna used to tell that magician alone is real. All that the magician shows is only a show, not real. So this whole universe is just an that appearance. Nothing really happens. So there is this that Maya then creates the attraction, repulsion in these forms, and you see this. Mm. So let us see how this story unfolds in our next class. Let us conclude with this our regular chant. निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुर्हो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः. O devotees, quaff, quaff to intoxication this nectar of the fruit of the tree of Vedas, flowing from the mouth of the great sage Shuka and mixed with the ambrosia from his words. Any questions? Okay, Charlie.
Well, when I hear a talk like this, it's very inspiring. But when I'm at home and I try to do japa, it's like I get a negative emotion associated with it. Like I'm eating something that doesn't taste good. It's not something I can do for any length of time. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, continue, It is it is very inspiring, but it is always in spiritual practice. My guru told, very nice word, very there nice rhyme also, but he said it is 5% inspiration, 95% perspiration. So you have to continue with it with lot of prayer and love. Mm. There is the love that that is how it will grow, and the inspiration is important, but things should not stop just there. They must go forward from there. So it is inspiration is like you just got into the car to the journey for the journey, but didn't start the car. Now what will happen with that merely getting into the car? Nothing much can happen. So you have to start the car, put it in that proper gear, and then start driving. So you will reach the goal. If you don't, then you won't. So the inspiration is important, but it is not enough. It is necessary, but not sufficient. Right. Any other question? Any question there up, Ajay?
One question from Nancy.
Nancy.
Yes. Is omnipresence only in the manifest world and Ishwara?
Please, I am not getting the question.
Is omnipresence
Hmm.
only in the manifest world and Ishvara.
Yes, the manifest world and what is called Ishvara. It is that is the self or Brahman is pervading all of these. That is how it is omniscient and omnipresent. Being omnipresent, it is omniscient because then it has the power to govern everything, know everything. So, omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence, they all go together. All this manifested world, including their Ishvara, that is all pervaded with this one divine, timeless presence. Yeah.
I think the question was, is it only in the manifest world, or is it beyond that too?
Well, it is manifestation. If the question is if it is only in the manifested world, yes. It is whatever is manifested, there it is present. Whatever is not manifested, there is the question cannot be asked about it. Any other question? Okay. So let us conclude with the closing chant. मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल। कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल। मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। केशव माधव हरि हरि